Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Dumas, and I'm coming to you from Treaty 1 territory. And I'm so excited to be here to help celebrate the launch of The Tale of Tiger Lily with Jill Holly Linsky Chartrand, who writes under the professional name Jill Featherstone. Jill is a mother of 5 and a stepmom to 3. She is a wife, a grandmother, and dreams of becoming a full-time author. She's an educator by trade, teaching middle years for the first half of her career, but left the classroom in 2011 to become a university instructor for the University College of the North, where she currently teaches in the Bachelor of Education program. She holds a master's degree in guidance and counseling. Jill is also the founder of Featherstone Support Services, a business which provides motivational workshops for Indigenous youth and young adults. And to date, she's helped hundreds of Indigenous youth and young adults find the motivation, the courage, and the confidence to go back to school and enter the workforce. In 2013, she began writing her novel, The Tale of Tiger Lily, inspired by the character created by J.M. Barrie's 1929 play, Peter Pan. In Jill's rendition, she takes us back in time into the world of the fictitious Pickaninny tribe and in the mind of the young Tiger Lily as she comes of age. All of these words, as I read, I get more and more excited remembering my experience reading the book. In this relatable story, Jill blends cultural renaissance with a classic tale and boldly rewrites an age-old narrative. So I want to read you something else that's from the back of the book about the author. The quote is, "Empowering Indigenous young people is always at the forefront of whatever I'm doing. And whether it's through writing, workshops, speaking, or social media, I'm always in search of ways to reach people on a larger scale." So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Jill, for inviting me to host and help celebrate this with you. And thank you to each of you who have joined today. And time to say hello to Jill. So how are you and what's going on? We're so happy to hear about your book writing journey. So please say hello.
Hi, Jessica. And hi, everybody. Um, I'm just starting to get really overwhelmed and really emotional just listening to you talk about the book and it's all just hitting me right now that this day has finally come because it has been a very long journey, and I'm so excited to share some of that with you guys today. I know that I won't be able to share nearly as much as I want because only have a short time together, but I do hope that in this hour that I can answer some questions and give you some insight about the book and my journey writing it. And I just want to mention that, yeah, I do have altogether 8 kids. 6 of them are living in the home. So, and they all have no school today. And a couple of them are sick. So you might see some little heads come popping up later, but it's to be expected.
Yeah, true reality TV, right? That's what I always say. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And I haven't known you as long as you've had the idea of writing the book, but I've known you for the past couple of years. And to see it go from just that passion to something actually here and everyone coming to celebrate, that is super exciting. So
It
so
is.
so
It's
excited to
very,
celebrate this with you.
I'm feeling very grateful today. Very
Awesome. Awesome. So I don't remember if it's been a month or when it was that I ordered my book, but Holly started sharing it on social media and I was like, yep, I'm getting myself a copy, and I got a copy to give away, which I've already done. But the first thing that I was thinking when I got the book was, oh no, I don't know the Peter Pan story and I don't remember Tiger Lily. And actually I Googled it. I started Googling those videos from, from whenever.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, like, do people need to be familiar with Peter Pan to start the book?
Um, I would think that they don't really need to be familiar with the whole story, but it probably would be helpful to be familiar a little bit with the character or with Peter Pan so that you know who Hook is and the characters that come into play. But I don't think you really need to have like a full-on grasp of who they are because I do go in and I rewrite a lot of their story.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't think that you would need to.
Hmm. Well, I guess from my experience, the whole like because I had gone back to figure that out, I was kind of weighing, okay, did I need to do that? But it's good for people to know, especially if they haven't started reading it yet.
Right. And one thing I want to mention too is that I I focus a lot on Tiger Lily and her tribe, and I find that I Peter Pan and his Lost Boys they're secondary characters. I wanted to focus on Tiger Lily, so I didn't spend too much on them and developing their characters as much as I did for her and her family and her characters,
Hmm.
her friends.
And so, why was it important to you to write Tiger Lily's story?
I wanted a way to I was originally had the idea for writing a story in about 2003. I had started jotting down a lot of ideas for a strong indigenous character that was coming of age, and I wanted it set in a time period of at least 100 years ago, and I had some very specific ideas, so I started writing them down. And in about 2013, when I decided to actually start writing, um, just one day the character Tiger Lily popped into my head and everything fit. You know, she was in that time period, she was a young indigenous girl, and she was somebody that was already well known, and her story I felt hadn't been told and hadn't been developed. And I'm always looking away for a way to reach our young people, like you said, on a larger scale. And I thought, you know, if I could write her story, I could reach more people and empower more indigenous youth,
Hmm.
because she is a mainstream character. So I'm always looking for ways to target more
Hmm.
young people. And she was and her character was there, and and nobody had told her story yet, or so I thought.
Right. It just warms my heart because as a young First Nation girl myself, I mean, young, not so much anymore. However, there's such a challenge with like seeing yourself reflected in the greater mainstream, seeing role models, seeing leadership. So how did you like what was the way that you thought you were going to bridge that message from Tiger Lily to who, the possibility?
Well, the first thing is, I had to rewrite the narrative. I knew that I was picking up a controversial story. There was a lot of racism, a lot of stereotypes, a lot of anger towards this, not so much her character, but you know, all Peter Pan in general, and the way that characters in the Pickaninny tribe were portrayed in the cartoons and the movies. Even just recently, like a couple of years ago, there was a Peter Pan remake, and the young girl who played Tiger Lily, she wasn't even an indigenous person. So I knew that there was a lot of that I was in for an uphill climb, I guess. And
Mhm.
I was up for a challenge. It was I but I really felt compelled, and I really felt pulled in that direction. And it was a real spiritual journey in
Mhm.
order to get over that fear
Mhm.
and become worthy enough to write her story.
When you think about like the whole time that you were inspired to write her story, where did you get, like, where did that inspiration come from that you knew this is Tiger Lily?
I would draw on my own youth. I would really dig down into myself and um, just I really wrote for the young person inside of me. And when I was writing for all of the young people. Um, I was always trying to take myself back, you know, to when I was 15, 16 years old, how I felt and what I needed, all the lessons I still needed to learn and all of the things that were still ahead of me and all of the lessons that I wanted our young people to learn. Um, I really I really had to go back into that mindset and create a strong character for our young people.
Mhm. One of the things that I was texting you in the midst of the book saying, I can't believe this. It's so exciting. And I read on a regular basis, but a lot of mine, like as a coach, I'm always reading on self-development and
Yeah.
skill building and that sort of thing. So I haven't read like a fairy tale in a long time. Are you hearing that a lot? Like just about people reading again?
Yes. And that's what really excites me is I'm getting a lot of messages from people telling me that, you know, they haven't ever read a book before, or they've never finished a book before, or they've only ever read for school, and they they're reading the book and you know they're finishing it in 1 day or 2 days
Mhm.
and telling me that they really excited and they can't put it down. And I'm really really overwhelmed when I hear that because you know, just the fact that people are reading again and, you know, I'm just hoping to get our young people reading again and in high school. Like I would really love to get it into the high schools.
Mhm. Absolutely. So anyone that's listening, if you have read it and you know how good it is, make sure you're giving it to someone else who's going to read it because they're going to love it. So if we think about any of the other characters in the book, would you say that any of them are based on real people that you know or anything like that?
Yes. So for Tiger Lily, in the beginning of the book, you know, she's a young girl. She's around maybe 14, 15 years old. I drew on, you know, my own daughter, my own self. I tried to capture some of that, you know, youthful selfishness, I guess you could say. And that whole, when we're young, we feel like the whole world revolves around us, or everything that's happening is happening to only us. So I really tried to capture that. And then, you know, as she grew into a woman, I started to envision Ashley Callingbull, and she was my muse, and she was the person that I saw as Tiger Lily when she was a woman, and her beauty, her strength. Um, Also, I had other people in mind. There's other characters like Tiger Lily's grandmother. I always had Tantu Cardinal in my mind, um, and Tiger Lily's father. So I mirrored a lot of his qualities after my own father, but my own father is small, and in my mind, Tiger Lily's father, he's a big man. So I always had in my mind, you know, that chief off of Blackstone.
Mhm.
I think his name is Eric Schwig.
Yeah,
Schwig.
Schwig.
I kind of had him in pictured in my mind because I had somebody that's fierce and you know scary and like but still has like a heart of gold kind of. But and I had there's an elder Blackhawk I think, or Elder Blackstone Blackhawk, I can't even remember right now. But I had in my mind Graham Greene. Like I had all of these, you know, really strong Aboriginal role models in my mind as I was writing, and it really helped. It really helped to see those people.
Mhm. That's like true manifestation, true visualization. So that's super cool. I love that because you've already made it into a movie.
thing. It's like in my mind, it was. When I started writing the book, it took me 7 years to write the book. And I had in my mind everything from start to finish. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and it would replay in my mind over and over and over again. But I struggled so much from getting it out of my mind and onto paper.
Hmm.
It was a huge, huge struggle, and it was a lot of the barriers are barriers that I put there myself.
Hmm.
Um, not making time to write or not thinking that I was worthy enough even to tell this story. I always thought that, you know, who am I to tell her story? You know, and I really had to do a lot of inner work to overcome those fears.
Hmm. And so how did you start doing that? Like, tell us, go back 7 years ago. Like, you had this idea, and I think
Mhm.
lots of people get a great idea, but it takes us a long time. And sometimes it takes 7 years to act on it. Sometimes we never act on it. So if you can go back to 7 years, what was going on for you when you had this idea?
Well, I always wanted to be a writer, and but I thought that I couldn't be a writer because it was always put into my mind and into my head, you have to go be a teacher or you have to go be a nurse. You have to go be one of those things. You know, I was never encouraged to write, like, and we didn't do that to a lot of our young people that had talents.
Mhm.
We didn't encourage them to do those things or to pursue those dreams. And so I just had it in the back of my mind that I want to write. And any chance I got, I would scribble things down on pieces of paper. And finally around 2013, my life was it was going in a direction where I didn't really want it to go. Um, and I really wanted to start writing. I It was just the call was getting louder and louder and louder. And but I was so afraid. I was so afraid. And I was a mom. I had about 6 kids at the time, maybe five. But
Mhm.
I had to do the laundry first, the housework, the groceries, the cooking supper, putting the kids to bed, being a good wife. All of those things had to happen first. And then at the end of the night, then that was my time. Finally around 10:30 I get to write. So I would put the laptop on my lap. I'd start writing, get maybe a page and a half in, and all of a sudden my husband would be waking me up at 3 in the morning saying, "Come to bed now," and taking the laptop off my lap because I was just so exhausted. And I had a lot of mom guilt. I didn't want to put time aside for myself to write.
Mhm.
I I wanted to make sure that everybody else had everything that they needed before I did. But eventually, that call, it grew louder and louder and louder, and I would, try harder to put more time aside to start writing. And eventually I started getting, one chapter, two chapters, three chapters. But it was really slow. And I didn't have a lot of money in the early days. Like I would write on paper, and then my husband, he put a laptop on layaway for me. And when we had enough money, he went and got it out because he wanted to see me pursue my dream because I talked about it. I guess I must talked about it a lot. And he wanted to help me. And towards the end, uh, I was able to rent a hotel room one weekend and just by myself. And I drove, 2.5 hours to the nearest hotel, and I stayed there for 2 days writing. And I couldn't do that in the early days. We didn't have the kind of money, and I just had too much responsibilities that I didn't want to just leave my kids and take off to go write. But towards the end, that the desire, it was so strong that I would cry sometimes because I just wanted to finish this story. I had that Wayne Dyer's quote in my mind, "Don't die with the story still in you," because I was so afraid, like, what if I can't tell the story and it's in here and I need to get it out. And so finally, I finished, I mean, I really decided to finish in March of 2020 when COVID happened. So when COVID hit, we were all kind of given, this gift of time because everybody had to stay home. And I just looked at my husband and I said, you know what, it's now or never. I said, I'm being given this time. And if I don't make use of this time, then I don't deserve to finish this book. So
Powerful.
so what I did was he said, okay, you're gonna get up every day and you're gonna leave this house and you're gonna go and write. And even on the days when I didn't want to get out of bed, he would start like kicking my feet, get going, get going. And so I would get out of bed and I would get into my truck and I would drive out to the lake. And it was called Footprint Lake in Grand Rapids. And there was no cell service there. And I would just park by the lake and it was still frozen over. And I would just sit there by the water because that was my spot. I would go to the water and write. And so I would put my laptop on my lap sitting in my truck and I would write for about 4 or 5 hours every day. And some and before I would start writing, I would pray and I would ask God the creator to, send the story to me. Send the words, send the right words that are going to be helpful and not hurtful because I was really afraid. I was afraid of the controversial topics that I covered. I was afraid of, not feeling worthy enough to write about ceremony. I was afraid of um taking on such a big character and a big story. I was afraid of a lot of that. So on the days that I had to write some really, really hard scenes, I would meditate and I would meditate by the water and I would just get that deeper connection. And when I did that, the words would just flow. They would flow sometimes so fast that I couldn't even keep up with my writing.
Oh,
And I never had writer's block, and that's the crazy thing. It's like it took me this long to write because I had all those other blocks that I had to overcome. But it wasn't the writer's block because the story was always there. And sometimes it came just so beautifully on those days when I would sit by the water that those hours would go by like minutes.
mhm,
The only reason I'd have to leave sometimes is because it would get dark and I was scared
mhm.
out there
That's
all by myself.
that's an exhilarating journey. Like what you just described, so exciting. And I like that you talked about feeling that calling because I think many of us feel that. We feel that calling, but we feel so stuck. We don't know where to go. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. And we just have this feeling, right? So like what was it or what happened that made you take that leap from I'm scared to do this to no matter what it takes, I'm doing this?
Well, the really big thing that happened to me was right before I got ready to really, really start writing was I was praying one day. I was exercising and I was praying and I was asking, God, Creator, send me my purpose. I knew my purpose was to help young Aboriginal young people, but I wanted clarity. I wanted some clarity in my purpose. And then these words came to me. I'm an author, I'm a motivator, I'm a speaker, I'm a leader. So when those words came to me, they were so loud and so clear. It was like they were spoken into my mind. And, you know, I I fell to my knees. I was in tears because I was so overwhelmed and so it was such a spiritual experience. And then I jumped up right away and I went to go write them down so I wouldn't forget.
Mhm.
Even though now that I think back on it, I could never forget. But it was that moment that when I was given that message that I am an author, and I really found the courage to just say, okay, I'm just gonna write. And each day when I sat by the water and those words would come so fluidly. um in the end, it gave me the strength and the courage that I needed to put the story out into the world and to be confident
Mhm.
in putting it out there.
Fabulous. So I definitely, I know specific questions that I want to ask you, but I want to go to the chat for a second. So Tawny Johnson says, hearing that literacy is coming back makes a librarian's heart happy. So that's good. Another question or comment is, it would be great to see a movie made on this book and also sequels part 2 and 3 and on. Another question, do you have future books in the works?
Yes. I have a second book to this book. It's already outlined and it's already ready to go.
That's gonna be great.
Um, I have some really, really big ideas, and now it's just about finding the time to write. And also have about 5 other novels that I've, started over the years because I'm good at starting, not so good at finishing sometimes. But I have, yeah, I have a bunch of novels and stuff all ready to go. I even have published children's stories that have been sitting in my filing cabinet for years and years and years. It's because I always wanted to write, and I knew how to write, but I didn't know where to go after that. Once it was written, then what?
Mhm. And now
Mhm.
you're getting that experience. And it sounds like your husband is a great support. So maybe he needs the reminder to kick you out of bed because that helped. Another question from Johanna. What was it like self-publishing the book?
Mm, that was it's an experience that I'm still going through. I decided to self-publish because it took such a long time to write the book, and then all of a sudden I'm reading, okay, so now you have to find an agent, and that may take about 2 to 3 years, and then you have to find a publisher, and this will take this long and this long. And when I was going through the editing process, there were times when they asked me to take things out, and I didn't want to. And some things I did take out, and some things I refused to take out, and I needed to leave them. And I was really afraid that if I went through the traditional publishing route, I would have to take out too much, or I would have to change my story too much. And I really felt that I really wanted it to stay as is, as close as possible, because there were a lot of things that I was told to take out, and if I would have taken them out, then it would not have been what it was. And Jessica, you and I we talked about one incident or one event in the book, and you were telling me that was one of your favorite parts of the book, and then I told you, I said, "Yeah, I was advised to take that out." And you're like, "How can you have taken that out?" But I mean, and that's what scared me.
Mhm.
So I decided to self-publish, but with self-publishing, that meant that I had to uh I have to do everything on my own, when get it out there, get the word out, try get it into bookstores, try get it into the hands of people, and pay for everything out of pocket.
Mhm.
And I I have, like, my family help me with that. Like, my younger brother, he helped me buy books after they were done.
Mhm.
He helped buy the books for me.
Wonderful. Thank goodness, right? It takes a village. Like you can use that in so many different areas of life. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's great. I want to go to another. Here's a statement from Ray Bernier, and you've already answered part of the last part of his question, but he says, I'm 72, and although I know of Peter Pan, Wendy, and Tinkerbell, I've never seen the movie or read the book. That's interesting. I got interested this past summer because Taylor Swift sings Peter Losing Wendy in her song Cardigan. I'm a big Taylor Swift fan, aren't we all? And then I heard your interview on CBC last week, which is awesome. That's great. So his question was, I'm wondering why you chose to self-publish, but you did answer that. Any
Mhm.
anything you want to respond to Ray on that?
That's amazing. Like, I forgot to tell everybody that I was going to be on CBC radio. I was on the radio the other morning.
Yeah.
But things are happening so fast. It's like I self I self-published the book, and then all of a sudden it was out there, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't even ready for it to happen, and it's just been surreal ever since. Um and it's still really scary at times. And some of the bumps that I ran into were the reason I wanted to self-publish too is I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of creative control over the cover page. Um, so the publishing company I chose was a Canadian company, but the people that I was working with to create the cover art were not Canadian, and they didn't understand Indigenous people. And I had very specific. This is what I would like to see. This is how her clothes should be. She wears a feather in her hair. It has to be an eagle feather. So they would bring me back all of these ideas, and you know that's not an eagle feather. They had turkey feathers, or so or little feathers that were about this big, or stuff like that. And I had a really hard time with trying to convey my cover art idea. And finally, I just had to walk away from that project of the cover art and set out looking for my own artist. And by that time, I had used up all my financial resources, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And and at that same time, my cousin's daughter was just emerging as an artist. And I just took a shot. I threw it out there. I asked my cousin, I said, would you be able to ask her if she'd be willing to draw my cover art for me? And the moment that she said yes, I felt an enormous sense of relief. I wasn't even afraid that she was going to come back at me with something that I didn't like. I just felt relieved, because I felt like I'm going to put it in the hands of somebody who knows Indigenous culture. And and she's 17 years old, and this is the image that she created. And every time I see it, it's just so beautiful. Like the colors and everything are just so beautiful. Her name is Sienna Turner.
Yes, and great segue. Why don't we invite Sienna in now? Sienna, I'm going to find you on our list here, and I'm going to invite you to unmute. The cover is beautiful, and Sienna is 17 years old. She's from Mississippiistic Cree Nation. And is your mic on? Can you say hello?
Hi.
Hi, so happy you joined us. Jill, do you want to say
Um,
hello to her?
hello.
So, Sienna, what do you think of seeing your image on a book that is going to go around the world?
At first, I was like very, very shocked about it. I guess when she emailed me about it, it didn't really click in my head that I was going to be on a book. My art was going to be on a book.
Mhm.
So I was just like happy that she had asked me to design her cover for her book. So it wasn't really until I saw the final product was
Mhm.
when I came to the realization. I was like, wow, that's my art. I was like really, really shocked. And
Uh,
that because that was something that I'd always like dream of as a kid, having my art showcased to like a large audience.
mhm.
So I was feeling all these emotions, and like, I was very, very happy that I got to do that for you.
Yay. So, how long have you been drawing for? Like, what were you like as a kid with art?
Well, I guess as a kid, I wasn't really inclined with it. I just every now and then I sketch or just doodle on random pieces of paper. It wasn't really up until I guess like a couple years now that I've started to take it more seriously and started practicing with it consistently, like every day. And um yeah, so I'd say maybe about a couple years.
Awesome. And Jill, anything you wanna say?
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much for agreeing to do the cover. Um, it came at a time when I was kind of panicking, wondering, what am I going to do? The book is
Yeah.
ready for publication, but the art's not there. And within a week,
Mm-hmm.
she had this sent to me, and I was just I was just blown away. I was just so excited, and all of the colors and the purples and stuff. Like purple's my favorite color. So I'm just so happy.
And
I'm
it's
so
very
happy.
soothing, like the colors, the image, it's very soothing. And one of the things that I said to Jill often was it's so relatable. Like I can relate to this young girl in so many of the different areas. And that was something that really, really stood out for me. So Sienna, anything else that you'd like to add?
I think I'm good.
Okay, well, I'd love it if you would put your Instagram page, if your link in the chat, that would be great. And if you have a link to a Facebook page or anything else, please put that link in the chat for us because we'd love to connect and follow that way. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
Thanks,
for
yeah.
having me.
Awesome. So one of the things that I'd love for you to talk about, and also I'd like to know what page of yours from Facebook do you want the link shared? But I would like to hear about when you received your first copy of the book, when you actually had a physical copy in your hand, what was going on?
Me?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering. Okay. Okay. So when I first got the book, I was going to tape it. I was gonna do this whole like video unboxing and stuff. But then I was nervous. I was thinking, what if I don't have that reaction? That reaction that where tears spill over and start crying, and I'm like, I don't want to try to fake it or anything. Like I wanted it to be genuine, and I was really afraid that I wouldn't have that reaction that everybody seems to have, when I've watched these things. So I decided not to tape it. So when I pulled my book out, the first thing I noticed was how beautiful and shiny, the cover was. And I was so relieved. And then I opened it up and I was afraid to open it because I was like, oh, what if I see a bunch of mistakes or something that I don't like? And then so I didn't really have that reaction that, I didn't cry or I didn't feel like, all in awe or anything. But then as the day went on, I noticed that I didn't let my book go. I took it everywhere I went in my house.
Mhm.
And when I went upstairs and went to bed, I put it on my nightstand. And then in the middle of the night, I woke up and I put my hand like that and I was feeling for my book to make sure it was still there. Kind of like the way you wake up in the middle of the night and you touch your baby and check on your baby. So I felt for my book to see if it was still there. And then I went back to bed. And then when I woke up in the morning, I went downstairs for my coffee and I was halfway down the stairs and I was like, oh, my book. And I went running back up and I had to grab my book and set it down with me while I had my coffee and stuff. So to say that I didn't have a reaction, I had a reaction. I didn't have the reaction that I thought that I was going to have or that I thought I was supposed to have, but I definitely had a reaction. And I kind of felt like if I let it out of my sight, it was going to go away.
Mhm.
It was going to disappear, and I was afraid.
And
And
it almost also sounds like you needed to prove to yourself this is real. Like this is
yes,
physical. It's not just my dream anymore. I
it's
have it in my
really
hands.
real. Yes, it's really real. It's really here. Oh, it was, yes, it was really, it's, it, it's still really overwhelming to even think about.
Mhm.
And to just to know that there's other people are reading it now, and all of these characters that I've had with me for years, that they're being shared with other people and other people are connecting with them and loving them just as much as I did. I just feel so so happy to be able to share that with people and to have that connection with people. And I'm always excited when people tell me they finished. I just like, I want to talk about it with them. I want them to ask me questions. So I'm
Yeah.
inviting you to, slide into my inbox and ask me some questions. If when you're done reading the book, I would love to answer anything.
Yeah, a book club. That sounds like fun. So there was a question about where to get the book, and I shared the Amazon link. Is there any other links that you think should be in the chat right now for people to grab the book?
Um, yes, there like my on my website there is at jillfeatherstone.com. There's a You can buy the book directly off of me if you want. You go through PayPal or you can use credit card on there, and I find it's faster when you buy directly off of me, but you can also get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Chapters. But right now it's only available online. It's not actually in a physical bookstore. It's only available online,
Will it
which
be in the store eventually, or is that a bit
I
of
hope so. It's up to me to get it into the bookstore, unless I get picked up by a traditional author, which I would like that. I would like to start looking for a traditional author now. I'm sorry, traditional publisher,
Mhm,
just so I didn't realize that how hard it was to do that work,
mhm,
and a traditional publisher would help get the book out into the bookstores and into the hands of more people.
mhm.
And it would also help too with like we to get a contract going for Sienna and her artwork as well.
Okay. Ray is asking, do you accept e-transfers for a book?
Yes, I have been, because I find that a lot of people like to do e-transfer.
Yeah.
So and if you just message me on Facebook or email, we can set that up. And
Okay, sounds good. All right. So next question. So what are your goals? Like, what do you really want to see happen with this book?
well, behind me, I have a list of my goals. One of my number one was become an Amazon number one bestseller.
Woohoo.
And I did actually hit number one in my category of my coming of age novels. And I hit number one on the hot new releases category. So
Fantastic.
yeah, that's exciting.
Congratulations.
Um, and also get picked up by a major publishing house and have the book be made into a movie. But the real true goals that I have for this book are to get it in the hands of our young people. And I would like it to be used in schools. I wrote this book intentionally, infusing a lot of lessons, life lessons, teachings into the book. And I did a lot of truth telling, historical truth telling. And I wrote, I tried to write with symbolism, and I tried to write so that teachers would be able to use this book, to aid in their right in their teaching,
Mhm.
to help our young people. I had my 11-year-old niece read the book, and she's pretty young. Like, she zoomed through the first half really fast because that's like fun and exciting, and Tiger Lily was young. But as she got older, my niece had a little bit harder time getting through, but she did end up finishing it. And I asked her what she thought of it, and she said that she really liked it. She liked all the characters, but the main thing that stood out in my mind is that she felt that she learned a lot about Indigenous people
Mm,
when she read the book. So
mhm,
that really stood out in my mind, is that she was learning something. She felt like she was learning things. And and that's really what I wanted to create a book that was entertaining, but at the same time I wanted to create a book that was meaningful and um could help empower and inspire our young people. I
mhm,
really wanted to give them that, something to be proud of, strong role models, leadership in leadership, that
mhm.
they could be proud of and that they can emulate.
I believe that you have accomplished that with this book. When I read it, it reminded me of a book that I read in high school. And you know that sometimes there's books that like everyone just knows that book because everyone read that book. It was part of the school system. And that's what I hope will be the future of The Tale of Tiger Lily, because I believe that there's so much in this story that helps young Indigenous girls feel like they belong, feel like they matter, feel like they have opportunity, feel like their leadership skills are like appreciated and recognized, and that makes me really excited. Mhm. So we're going to start kind of transitioning into a bit of kind of the discounts and giveaways and stuff like that. But if there was a message that you had that you wanted to leave with the listeners today and your readers, what would that be?
Um, well, I really want our young people to be able to see a strong Indigenous role model in mainstream literature, in mainstream culture, and I really, it really excites me to be in a time where there are so many strong Indigenous people that are making their way in the world, and um I want to be a part of that, but more importantly, I want to be a part of I want to be able to help set that foundation for our young people. That's what I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of that strong foundation where we lay the groundwork for all of these young people to rise up and do really big things in the world. And I have so many I have so many people, like so many of my own Indigenous role models that I look to. And when I was writing, like I reached out to Marie Sinclair, and I I have a picture of Buffy St. Marie like staring at me right now as I'm talking, is because I also needed to draw on their strength. So I needed to draw on their strength for my own foundation. And I want our young people, to have people to lay that groundwork for them so that they can, just to rise up and empower and become empowered. And
Mhm.
that's really the message that I want is we're resilient. And the book is all about resiliency. If there's anything is in the book, it's resiliency and it's unity.
I completely agree. It's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful story. I read it in 2 days only because I had things that I had to do. I had to put it down. But and not that it's a fast read, like not, it's so adventurous. And like when I started, I was thinking, like I didn't know I was about to go on an adventure. And then the fact that I could text you and say, I can't believe this is happening, that was like a boost to my experience. But it's a beautiful, beautiful book, and I can't wait. And same with everybody else on here, cannot wait to see what you come out with next, because you have so much talent, so much passion, and it's coming through in your words. So keep it up. So excited.
Thank you. And can I just add something? Like, just when you said that, there was a time when I didn't think that I had all of that. And so if anything, that I want to leave a message for our young people that, it's okay to chase your dreams and to listen to your passion, and do the things that set that fire, that light that fire inside of you. Chase those dreams, and you can still do it. You can still be mom, and do all of those other things that you want to do. And I really want to encourage more of that, more of us chasing our dreams, and chasing what makes us happy.
Yes. Do you think
Mhm.
that you'll do some more live talks maybe on a Facebook page, or
I
where,
think I definitely think I will.
which page should people follow?
Jill Featherstone, or Featherstone Support Services. is where I do the lives, or Jill Featherstone on Facebook.
Okay, awesome.
I haven't figured out Instagram too well yet, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, we'll figure that one out. So everyone who signed up for this launch today is entered into a giveaway and some prizes. So tell us all about that.
Okay, so what I have is I do have a bunch of giveaways, but before that, I talk about the giveaways. I want to talk about the gift. Everybody that registered for the book launch, I want everybody to have a gift. So the gift that I'm giving is a PDF copy of this book that I wrote, and it's called Dream, Believe, Do, a workbook dedicated to manifesting your best life. So I'm going to give everybody a PDF copy of this book so that you could download it. And this is a workbook that I created, and it is all about how to set goals, how to do affirmations, and how to manifest. And manifest isn't magic. Like, people think that's a magic word. Manifesting is simply taking your ideas, your ambitions, your imagination, your dreams, and making them into a reality for yourself. So what I did was I created a workbook of all of the different techniques and strategies that I use in my own life to help me manifest my goals. And I've accomplished a lot of really big goals in my life, and everything that I've done and everything that I've accomplished, I've used these strategies, and it hasn't been just material things. Like, I also use these strategies to help me finish my book, to help me break free from addictions, to help me raise my self-confidence and my self-esteem. So I want to share that with you guys. And so I'm going to put this on the link that when I send everybody an email, this is going to be a link. And it is a pretty thick book, but the last 3/4 of the book is like a repetition process. So you really only have to download the first maybe 35 or so pages so that you don't use up all of your printer ink. But that's the gift that I want to give to you guys, because if you have dreams and things that you want to go after, I want to be able to help you. So that's the gift that I would like to give. And I'm also doing a giveaway, and I'm going to be sending an email, and everything will be outlined, but everybody that has registered today will be entered into the giveaway. And I have gift certificates from Sister Sage, Kokum Scrunchies, Kiwit Nook Designs, who did my earrings for me. Aren't they pretty? She's a new business. She Native, Resgal Lashes. I try to choose as many Indigenous organizations or home businesses and startup businesses that I could. And I'm giving away some signed copies of my book, and just a bunch of other things. So everybody's going to be entered into the giveaway, but I'm also keeping the giveaway open until the end of the month, because there are different ways that you can enter. And those ways are, submitting a review on Amazon, or submitting a review on your social media, sharing with someone. But I'm going to outline all of that for you in the email that we send back, that has the video, the link to purchase. And I'm also, everybody that has registered today is also going to have a discount if they want to purchase a book. So there's also going to be a 25% discount for anybody that's purchased the book. And if you purchased it already, you can also send in a copy of like a proof of purchase for additional entries. But all of that will be outlined for you, because I don't want to throw everything all at you at one time, but I'll have everything outlined in the email that I send back, including the free gift. Oh, and if you want to purchase like the actual book, it's on Amazon for $16. But you get it for free. So, but sometimes people like to have books so that they can just tuck them in their purse or their bag.
What's the name of that book?
It's called Dream, Believe, Do, a workbook dedicated to manifesting your best life by Jill Featherstone. And if anybody wants to watch the video on how I gave myself that name, it's a long story, so I couldn't tell it today, but I do have a live video on my Facebook page. It's Featherstone Support Services, and you could see the video on how I gave myself the name.
Yay. Oh, this has been so exciting. So I've tried to share some of the links that we talked about. JillFeatherstone.com. If you go to her website, you'll have the option to sign up for her newsletter, and that way you'll always have access to everything. The links to the book are also on there. I've shared her Instagram, 2 Facebook pages, links to the Amazon purchase. But you are inspiring everyone on here, and this has been super fun. Thank you for having the courage to follow your dreams, because the more that you live and allow yourself to shine in what it is that you love, then you help others. You're also that role model that people are like, well, I want to be an author, and what makes me think I can be an author? Well, here's proof.
Yeah, thank you. Can I just say one more thing? In the back of the book, it says, in 1929, Peter Pan author J.M. Barrie gifted the Great Ormond Street Hospital Children's Charity the rights to his play. Although the copyright has since expired and does not apply to sequels and spin-offs, Jill Featherstone has taken inspired action and pledged to donate a percentage of the royalties from The Tale of Tiger Lily to various Indigenous youth leadership initiatives. So the original author, when he passed, he wanted anybody who used Peter Pan to donate to the Children's Hospital, and that has since lapsed, and it doesn't apply to the spin-offs. But I just wanted to take inspired action and do what he was doing, and I wanted to donate. So a percentage of each book sold is going to be donated to Indigenous youth leadership initiatives. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link on my website and update it quarterly, and hope that I could someday provide bursaries for people, for young kids to apply for when they want to take a program, or maybe even provide programming for them in the future. But I wanted to just to share that with you guys before I forgot, because I think it's important.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That is beautiful. It's been an hour. Our time is up. Do you want to say goodbyes, or any last thing that people should hear from you today?
I just want to, just thank you all for coming today and listening, and thank you for your support. Thank you for all of the kind words. Thank you for the reviews and, reaching out to me. Thank you for spreading the word and passing on your books when you're done reading them. And, it's just the beginning, and it's really exciting. And I just feel like you guys are a big part of my journey. And thank you, Jessica, for, being there and pushing me, encouraging me, and helping me with this today. I really, really appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. So that's our time. JillFeatherstone.com. If you missed any of those links, you'll be able to connect there. But I can't wait to do it again soon.